the first time and you're brand new, wow, you're going to have a lot of fun with watercolor. It's a ton of fun. Stick with us here. I always mention subscribe on the right-hand side below if you haven't subscribed. This way you stick with us and you can keep watching our videos. And we're doing videos like this all the time, as well as every other subject matter you can imagine in watercolor. We do flower paintings, and we create seascapes and beach scenes and landscape scenes with barns and trees, and we do all kinds of fun stuff like this. Everything is watercolor though, and but all those that many of you that are my regulars and you're always with me, you kind of know, if you can become creative with your watercolors and have fun exercises like this where it's not too serious, you'll find that you'll be able to kind of create your own bit of toolbox of I guess techniques and methods that you can use when you're painting that are going to help you in every situation when you're painting watercolor. It might just be a small bit of wash that you're working on, and if something goes wrong, but right away you know, wow, I could rescue it quick because I can grab a tissue and blot up this section. Or, oh, I could use a larger brush and I can get this whole area done really fast and look really loose and fun, versus trying to use a smaller brush, and then I might wind up making it look too overly worked and things like that. So you'll learn all these things as we go here. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found us here. Again, if it's your first time, and again, please subscribe if you haven't. It's really important. This way, YouTube can send you my videos on your homepage on YouTube. So no obligations when you subscribe. It just means that your YouTube's going to let you know on your homepage when you open up YouTube the next time that I've made a new video. So there's no emails or text messages or anything like that silly stuff that goes on the electronic devices these days with people calling and emailing and all these things like that. You have a lot of fun here. Stick with us. We're going to have tons of fun going forward. We're doing lots more figures now going forward. We're going to work it into our regular routine. So it's not like this is going to overtake my channel. I'm doing all my normal routine on YouTube if you've been following me for a long time, and thank you so much for always joining along with us here and all the beautiful comments in the comment section. But we're sticking with our normal routine as always. We're just going to work in a few little more figure exercises because I know people really like figures. A lot of you have mentioned in the comment section over the last couple of years when I've done figure painting, like, oh, Chris, do more of these. You know, yeah, these are really good. I like these. So I'm just going to add a few more of the figure paintings to the repertoire here. I'll come right back in just a second. I just wanted to show that we could do a quick repair or two with our titanium white paint so that, you know, you can kind of see how you can fix this up a little bit. Okay, be right back. All right, so we just saw the finished painting. We're just doing figures again here, enjoying it. Let's just make a couple. I just wanted to make a quick sketch with some Sharpie marker just to kind of, if you can key in on this one part of the drawing when you're getting set to do your pencil drawing and then eventually your painting, of course. You just want to recall that. Let's make sure that we keep the head over the feet. So if we have our head here on our figure, we just kind of want to make sure that when we come down this way and we're going through the body, we just want to make sure that the feet are, so the figure's feet should be straight all the way over the top of the feet, the head. So the head, you're always going to want to have your head sort of over the feet here. So, you know, we have the arms and the shoulders like this. We have the hair here. But we just want, whether it's a male or female figure, whatever it is, let's make sure we keep the head over the feet. If it's an action figure, usually if you have an action figure, let's say running, you'll usually have one foot underneath or over, you know, you'll have your head actually will be aligned with one of the feet in an action figure. So if the other leg is going back this way and the person is running like this, so if we have an action figure like this, the head will be here. There'll be 1 foot under the head. Usually that's the balancing point of the body. So you're automatically usually going to always have your feet under your head. Either one or 2 feet above your or below your head is going to usually be your balance point for your body. So if you have a running figure, you'll always have your foot below the head, at least 1 foot below the head. And then here on this standing pose, this is just, again, a standing pose of a figure in profile. that head right here of our figure is right above the feet. So you just, it avoids having figures maybe that sometimes can be lopsided like this. So if you can imagine, if you make your figure like this, and the feet are over here, and your head is here, it's going to look funny. It's going to look like your figure is kind of falling backwards. Or it could be the same thing where your figure might look like it's falling forwards. If we had the feet like this, and it would look like the figure is falling forwards if we don't have the head over the feet. So this is just that main thing to remember. If you can draw maybe a very simple, tiny little pencil mark, just to kind of, with a ruler, you might take a ruler and put it on your, we'll do that actually. We'll kind of show you how we're going to do it just now. But that's just kind of the thing I wanted to mention for this painting we're going to do right now. We just want to make sure that the head is above the feet, or the feet are below the head, pretty much in line. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to have that kind of in line for this standing pose, okay? All right, so we'll just keep going here. And like again, I said I'll use this ruler to just make a quick mark, pencil line over here on my paper. So I'll just make a very, very super, you probably won't see this on camera because I'm making it so light. I don't want to kind of disturb the paper and have a dark pencil line going through my figure. But I did make a very, very super light pencil line right down the center where my figure is going to be. And that's all I need to know. Now I can kind of start doing my figure. And I'm just doing this by, I'm improvising this figure. I'm just making a standing figure. So I'll just start off with the head. And that's about it. So I'm just going to make the head here. And I'll make it maybe about an inch large, the head, approximately. Like that. And then if you think you might want to kind of correct something, you can always do a quick erase a little bit with some kneaded eraser. But you can kind of see I have about an inch here of a head. And if I take my ruler, how close am I? Yeah, I'm 1 inch exactly. So I do a 1 inch head here. And then we always remember the human form is about 7.5 or 7.5 or 8 head lengths tall. So if we go down to the bottom of the paper, I might have actually started too low here. So let me erase this. I'm going to have to start higher. So now, this is another thing I wanted to mention here on this drawing portion of this video is you can always use your rulers to kind of set the scale of your painting. So if you want to make the full figure in your rectangle, so let's make our rectangle here too. I should have started with this. I always try to start with my rectangle just to go around my paper. So I kind of know this is going to be like the window of the mat or the frame. So I want to make sure I'm kind of painting with the end in sight. Okay, so that's going to be the frame or the mat that we're going to put over the top of the painting before I put it in the frame. Now that's the space we have to work in. So now if I know the human form is approximately 8 head lengths, then if I make my head length 1 inch, I'll have to have 8 inches, and I have 8 inches from right tippy top here down to the bottom. So if it's a little bit smaller, not a big deal. We can shrink things down just a touch maybe if we wanted to. So I'll go a little bit, I think 8 inches is fine. I'll even go 7.5, so I'll start here. 7.5 is here, 7.5 inches is there. So that gives me my scale of 1 inch equals the head. So we're going to make the head 1 inch approximately here. Like that. We're going to do that. 1 inch is the head. And then we just go down, and you can even make hash marks every inch if you want. Very lightly though, just so you see them. 1, 2, I'm going every inch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I made tiny little hash marks, just enough so that I can see them. You might be able to see them a little bit on camera here. But now what I do is, with those hash marks, now I know I'm going to just use them as like guide points. So I know here I'm going to do the shoulders in the back of so the shoulders in the back of the figure here. And then I'm going to come down like that on a slight. And usually the waist is about 4 head lengths. So 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. So 4 inches on this figure is about the waist. A little bit. Maybe we can make it a little higher so we can get the feet in the bottom here. So I'm going to make it a little bit higher. No one should notice if you adjust your figure a little bit to squeeze it in, as long as it's not dramatically different. And then here we have the shoulders coming down and the arm. So his arm is coming down this way, and about here his arm comes up a little bit there. And then I would say even we could make this arm a little longer here, I think. A little bit out this way too, a little bit, yeah, I think a little bit out further. So yeah, I would say that's about a half a head out this way. So the arm is out here a little bit, and it comes up this way. And then the waist is here, so this person has a little extra, a little bit. His waist is a little large. He's been eating some pasta and bread, a little too much. And his legs come down like so. And I'll pretty much just come straight down at an angle. I'm not going to make it any real... So if you can kind of see, I just did basically some pretty simple angles. We did the head 1 inch tall, and then we just came down 4 inches from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about where the belt is, the waistline here. And we have the elbow here in the arm. That just comes down the arm, and there's the elbow there, and we'll have a little bit of shadowing under here. And then we'll have so we're going to do the gluteus maximus there, and then the other leg over here. So we'll have we'll maybe show a little bit of the other leg this way. So you can kind of give the painting a little bit of dynamics with maybe an extra little bit of the right leg on the other side kind of showing through, and then we'll have the bottom of the pants and then the shoes. Okay, so and then we'll have a little shadow across too. This is the figure, and we'll say the light's coming from here, from the back, like that. So we'll put our light insignia up there. So I think we're pretty much set. We have a good start to the painting, and I would say, I tend to say, don't worry about your pencil drawing so much. If you can get the nuts and bolts of your drawing done, where you're kind of laying things out, like I said, with the head in an inch, and then going down your 7.5 or 8 inch increments for the human form, which is about 8 head lengths is a human form approximately. So if you have whatever size you draw your head, that's where everything else will scale out to. So if I made a very, very, let's say if I take my scrap paper again here and just do a quick idea of what I'm kind of, just so it's really pretty clear. Let me see if I can find some paper here. Here we go. So if we were to start out and make the head a lot larger, let's say like this, well then if we have to go 8 head lengths down to the bottom of the page, we would say 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would run out of space. So we'd only be able to maybe make the head down to the waist, and that's all that we could fit into this painting because we've made the head really large. Versus if we made the head really small like this, then we would say, okay, there's 1 head length. I got to go 8 head lengths now. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. 8 head lengths is the human body. Well, we have tons of room left over. If this is our border of our drawing, our painting, and we start off with a small head like that, well, then we know, wow, that might only be like 1/4 of an inch. This might be like 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches, so that's way too big. So if you do start out with 1 inch as your head size, that should fit in nicely with doing like an 8x10 size drawing, because this is about an 8x10 here, I think, approximately. What do we have here? We have about 7.5 inches by 8 inches. Yeah, so that fits in good with what we're doing, the scale. But again, if you start out really small with a small head, and then you scale down to get your 8 head lengths like that, so then you have your human form like so, and you have your human form like this, then you notice that you have all this extra space here, because we started a little bit too small with our head. And then here, if we start way too large with our head and we're making it like 2 inches, well, then we know we can't fit inside this paper, this size paper, which is like, again, about a 10x7 size paper, because we started out too large. So always remember, when you're doing figure work, whatever you always start with the head, and you just, adjust your head size accordingly to the size of your paper. If you have a really large sheet of paper, well, then you're going to make your head a lot larger. You might make your head 2 inches tall or 3 inches tall, or large, I should say, height-wise. So it's up to you, but that's really your scale. When you're doing figure work, you just remember you're starting with your head, and you're just going to use the head size, length, to scale the rest of your body parts, however much you want to put into your painting. You're going to use that head as your scale. So again, here we went about 1 inch, and that's perfect. We went down 8 head lengths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we got to the bottom of the picture with our feet, and we have a little extra room on top and bottom. We're all good to go. All right, so I'm going to come back and we'll start painting, and we'll kind of see how this all works out with our shadows and some fun colors, and we'll get started in just a second with the actual painting. All right, so we're going to get started doing the painting portion of our figure. And I like to always mention, please use the most comfortable brush size you like for your figure work. With figure work, as I would say, kind of works the same if you're doing any other type of watercolor painting, no matter what you're doing: landscapes, seascapes, city scenes, flowers. Use a brush that's going to help you to accomplish what you want to. What's going to make it more comfortable for you to execute your washes. So for the head, I'm going to start with a smaller brush. I don't want to go in there with a really large brush that is way oversized to try to do some of this finer details with the head here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a smaller brush. This happens to be the brush that comes with the Schmincke palette. So if you ever order a Schmincke palette, the really nice aluminum ones that I tend to use for a lot of my videos, and it has these paints inside of it. So if you see the Schmincke palette with these paints inside, that's the one. It's got like 3. It's an aluminum palette, and it's got the top and the bottom that you flip open, and it's aluminum. You can always look up my palettes on Chris Petri, and you'll see all the different palettes I use. And I just did a recent video too on how to customize your Schmincke palette. So I think Schmincke palettes are great. They're aluminum, they're light. You can customize them if you want. Schmincke also sells these individual pans. You can buy these separately and put other colors you might like in there. So you can add, sometimes if you want to add a few extra colors to a certain painting you might be doing. Maybe you're doing like a beautiful seascape and you want some extra blues and greens in there for the water or something. Well, you can just take a couple of these extra pans that Schmincke sells on the side. You can get them on Amazon or, on the art store supplies or in the art stores. And then this way you can fill them up with custom colors that you might not use every day, but other colors you might want to add in there. That's just a little bit of a rabbit trail thing here. We're just going down a quick little rabbit trail on palettes, but it's important to note that you want to use the right size brush for what you're going to try to paint, and the colors too. I'll make a little touch of black here. Black is very strong in our Prang palette. But I meant to say, the reason I mentioned the Schmincke is because Schmincke comes with this number 5 Da Vinci travel brush, and these are the really nice travel brushes where you can just, like, when you're done painting, you can rinse them off and then put the cap on, and there's a little hole in the top so they dry out naturally. You won't get any mold on your brush. And this is, these are just great brushes. You can throw these in your pocket, in the pocketbook, in a backpack, a duffel bag, whatever. So if you go out and do a little painting, you know, during lunchtime or on the weekends or whatever, or if you do some traveling, you bring some of these travel brushes with you. You can put it right in there like that, and then the brush doesn't get damaged at all. The brush stays pristine, and you won't have any problems with your brush being all bent up and distorted, your brush hairs. These are good quality brushes. We want to keep them safe and sound. And then, you know, you can open them up and you have this handle that, like this. And this comes with the Schmincke palette. I was just talking about the aluminum palette. You could check on my site. You'll see that I've just done a video on the Schmincke palette, customizing your Schmincke palette. But let's just keep going here. So I'm doing some darker brown with some tiny bit of black mixed in with my brown and a little bit of orange for my hair color here. And again, I'm not really... I think if I can get some good darks here for some of the shadow side. So I can get some shadow side here. And then I can rinse off my brush. Maybe dry a little bit of the water off the brush on a tissue. And then I go in and just get more of that orangey color here for the light side of the hair. Again, the light's coming from this side this way. Like that. I think that looks good. So right away you can kind of see we're off to a good start. We're doing the head. We're starting with the head just like we did. We started with the drawing with the head. Now we're just doing the same kind of thing. We're starting off with the head for our painting. And we're going to come down here. A little more of the darker wash there. Again, I'm using an appropriate size brush for the area that I'm working in. The head here is a little smaller than the rest of the body, so I want to make sure I'm using a brush that I can kind of navigate through this section here carefully without bumbling around too much. And that looks pretty good. So now we have some hair on there. Nothing too fancy. And again, we're just having fun here, enjoying the journey of watercolor, the journey of figure painting. And that's all it is we practice as we can, as much as we can. And maybe right now I'll add a touch of red for some of the flesh tones, which I think have a little more red, but I'll mix that in with this. Maybe a little bit of the orange red. And I think that would be pretty good for the flesh tone. And let's try it out. So I'll just go right around quickly with the nose, side of the cheek, the chin, right toward the neck, and that is good. Now from that point, I could see, you know, I made a little smudge over here, so you could probably see that smudge I made. So that smudge right there, we can fix that with a little bit of titanium white. So if you ever have a little smudge happen on your painting right away, don't worry. Titanium white will repair that. We're going to show you at the end of the video how you repair some smudge marks if you have an issue like that. So the first thing is if you're starting your painting and this happens right away when you're working on the head, you just tell yourself, don't worry, you're going to fix that later with the titanium white. Trust me, it'll look fine. So don't get frustrated when you're first starting out and you make a smudge. Just keep going. Forget about that. You'll fix it later. Same thing if you're doing laundry and there's a sock missing. You worry about it later. It'll turn up somewhere. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to get, let's see now. I think we'll use some of that black again and brown. I just want to make a little bit of a dark shape here over where the collar is. A little bit of a shadow there. A little bit of a dark line there. And then maybe we'll get some purple. So again, I'm working kind of with my smaller brush. A little bit of that kind of purpley color mixed in with maybe a little bit of orange. So kind of like a warm and cool purple. And I'm going to just do a shadow on the shoulder, I think, over here. See a bit of a shadow here. Looks pretty good. And then maybe I'll do another shadow down here under the elbow. And maybe a little bit of blue. And then I notice I need a little bit of spritzing on the paints. Sometimes they get dried up a little bit here, so I'm going to try to get some of that blue in here. Like that. So I want to get a blue shadow under the under that part of the and then a little shadow there. I think that's about good. Just some shadow there. And then another bit of shadow maybe over here. And then another bit of shadow over here too. Maybe that's the belt. And maybe a little shadow too over here. Okay, so now we have some shadows working for us. And what else do we have here? A little bit of shadow back over here, maybe. And I'm going to leave this, the white shirt. A little bit of yellow, maybe a little bit of yellow. Some gold on the shoulder up here. With a little bit of the flesh tone too, kind of blended in there. Like that. Okay, so I'm strategically putting in shadows right now. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to shift to a larger brush. And I'm going to use this larger brush here. It's quite a bit larger. This is a number 10 Escoda travel brush. And again, this is another travel brush. These are great. You just unaffix them apart like that. And you can put them together like this and this. You can again throw it in the purse, the bag, the shirt pocket, duffel bag, suitcase, whatever you want. And when you're ready to paint, you just put it together, paint, and it's got a hole in the top up here. And that will let the air, it'll air out and dry the brush. So you don't have to worry about the brush getting moldy or anything like that. You paint when you want to. Put it back together again. So these travel brushes, I use them a lot because I do travel for weekends sometimes to go, you know, on weekend getaways and things. So, and sometimes on vacation. So, okay, so now we're going to use the larger brush. We're having fun here. Let's do the pants. So maybe we'll add some yellow. And I'll maybe make the darker part of the pants here. So I'll make the yellow. I'll put yellow and orange over here. Brown, yellow, orange, brown. Touch of black, just a little bit of black. Just to darken that up a bit. Maybe a little bit. Maybe that's too much. I don't think it is. And then I'll make the back of the pants here like so. Like that. And then once I get to there, I'm going to rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of the water, and then I'm going to try to blend that out a little bit. Maybe I'll pick up some of this. There we go. So you want to blend this together. Like that. Blend the wash together. The quicker you can do that, transition over from the darker on the right side to the lighter, the quicker you can do that, the better you're going to blend that line out of there so that you don't see that kind of, you know, line. that hard line going down there. So that's really good if you can kind of do it quickly. Mix your washes first, then start your painting as you go into it. Then you get your painting in. But that's really a critical kind of thing if you want to keep that looking really good with a nice blend from light to dark. And here, I'm going to again take some dark paint, dry off the brush a little bit with my tissue, and then I'm just going to make this other leg over here with just that little bit of an extra line there. So that's the other leg there, and then we're going to maybe make a little bit of a dark, like that black and brown. Black and brown and some orange. And we'll do the shoes here. We'll make those shoes a little darker. Like that. And then we'll pick up some purple. Purple and orange for some shadowing. Needs to be more blue and purple, I think. So that's what we're going to do, more blue and purple for the shadow. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do the shadow like that. Kind of blend it in with the shoes. And then, if we want, we could just add in a little extra negative shade painting, which is just basically taking some background paint and adding it around the shirt to make that shirt look more interesting and kind of visible. So that's all you can do is just make some background washes. You could do swirling if you want. Large brush, though, really helps with this if you're doing this part where you're doing your washes, your negative shape washes here. You're going to want to do those with a large brush. You know, you can then soften it out here like that. And this is just having fun with the watercolor medium. You're practicing your figures. You're not necessarily making a great painting. Maybe it'll turn out great and you're going to put it in a frame, and I'm all for that too. If you feel like it's really something you're really extremely happy with, then definitely pin it up on the wall, on the the fridge, put it in a frame, mat it. I'm just kind of getting creative with some washes here with the large brush, which is so much fun. If you have a really large brush like this, it just makes painting like fun. You know, you can add in like a floor, like a kind of a floor kind of feel, so that it gives the painting a little bit of a, like you'll feel like he's walking on a sidewalk or on a patio or something like that, right? So if we could add that little bit of a floor feeling right there, a couple splashes, that could be a sidewalk or a patio, something to that effect, makes the painting, has a little more realism to it, and it becomes less of an exercise and more of, we're already starting to think about how do we make this look a little more interesting and appealing. And then we can even do some sidewalk lines here like this. One like that and one like this. And that's basically the star effect, just radiating lines that are coming out from a center point somewhere out in the far distance, but giving you the feeling that there's a logical, there's a logic to it. Like these lines, I'm not just kind of painting lines on here. I'm pretending that we're looking at it and we're seeing some lines on a sidewalk or a patio, and And I'm just trying to make it look natural, like that. Okay, so this is just one kind of fun thing you can do for your figures. It gives it a little more fun to, or it makes it more fun to actually just add in some washes, have some fun with it, you know, add in a few items that you can kind of be creative with. It's great to practice just doing free creative things like this too as well, because when you're in a painting sometimes and you have to change something, it's good to kind of have that feeling of like you're confident in doing something creative that you've just made up off the top of your head, so that you can sometimes catch something that might be a problem, but it turns out not to be a problem because you're able to kind of just be creative and change something on the fly, because watercolor is a fast medium. Everyone knows that. You've been with me a long time, and if you're here for... All right, so now I just wanted to mention you can do some repairs to your paintings. We talked about using the titanium white. Basically, this is the titanium white from Holbein. I just basically take the cap off. I add a little bit of orange or yellow ochre, something like either a yellow ochre or an orange type color, which is a very warm, kind of warm color. And I put that into the top of the paint just to warm up that paint a little bit, because the paint's pretty much straight white. So if I add a little bit of orange to that, it's going to look a little better. And then I just take that little bit of paint that's on the end of my brush, and I just add it to the smudge I might have had before. And then once I do that, I just mix it around a little bit. And there we go. So you can do a little bit of touch-ups with your titanium white. And you can even add some colors once it dries. So if you put titanium white on carefully, kind of smooth it on there if you're trying to fix a smudge, you put the titanium on first, titanium white with a little bit of the orange or yellow ochre gold color, just to warm up that white color. And then you can let that dry 100%, and then you can go over with a little bit of blue. So if you wanted to kind of blend it in a little better, you can blend in a little bit of blue color to that white that you put on there. But you have to let that dry 100%, that white, titanium white first. Then you can go over on top with just a little dab of blue to blend it in even better. But you can kind of see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Let's take a closer look. Right there, you can kind of see I fixed that smudge that was on the back over here by the back of the figure here, so that it's barely visible now. Looks fine. And again, these are practice compositions. So we're doing practice compositions with figures. I'm so glad you're joining along. And again, I hope you're subscribing if you're brand new and you're interested in doing figure work. You're at the right place at the right time. We're going to be incorporating these type of videos into my channel more and more now, as well as the regular paintings that we always do, which is all of the great watercolor, classic watercolor paintings that everyone loves to do, the flower paintings, the seascapes, the landscapes with trees and cabins and rocks and all that fun stuff. We're going to do that all the time here on my channel. We're not changing anything. We're just adding in a little more figure work into our format here on my channel, because I know many of you have mentioned you want to see more figure work. So I'm just kind of bringing in a little more figure work into my format on my channel, because many of you have mentioned you did want to see more figure work, and that's all it is. And I'm happy to do it because I really enjoy figure work, and I've been working myself too really diligently on my figure work. I'm trying to always work on my figure work constantly. I have books on figures, and I try to work from all kinds of interesting other watercolor artists that have done, the watercolor figures for long periods of time. So in any case, we're going to do more of these. Glad you're stopping by and joining along. And if it's your first time, thanks so much for coming by. I'm happy you're here. You're going to have a fun time on this channel. Stick with us here. You'll learn, you'll grow. You'll always be creating better paintings each week as you follow along. We're covering the fundamentals of watercolor first and foremost on my channel always, so that you're getting the fundamentals each time you're sitting down and working with your watercolor, so that you're not bypassing those important fundamentals that you need to have. So I'll always be covering the fundamentals, so you just get that kind of like baked into your repertoire, so that you always will have good, strong habits with your watercolor paintings and drawings. Okay? All right. So you have a great evening, great morning, great afternoon, and we'll see you soon.